how'd you get here?
What's good? This is a fan game that has been popping up in my YouTube recommended for a while now. It's made on Roblox, so again, another example of Sonic fans just absolutely locking in on the weirdest ways to make Sonic fan games, but actually succeeding really well. I don't actually know what the name of this is. Sonic Expedition, the trial, yeah, there it is. I was just joking. I knew from frame one, second one. So I have played a little bit of this, and there are a few things we can check out. There's a multiplayer mode, which has an open world and the non-existent, non-working race mode. And the open world is alright. It's about what you'd expect from everything else. And then there's this spring yard-like zone where it's just a skate rink type beat. But I don't think that's that fun to go through. I think Expedition mode is where it's at, because this is where you get the back-to-back content. Plus, if you go into the open world, you have to actually leave the Roblox game itself and then come back in. So it's like, it's a little much. it's a little too much for me personally. But let's hop into it. I played through all of this with a friend, and it is just it's hype. It's about what you'd expect from your average kind of, I don't know, momentum-oriented Sonic game. This isn't actually momentum-oriented, though, because there's, like, no roll. I cannot believe I just died to that, but, you know, it's fun. It gives me more time to talk. It's not actually momentum-oriented because there's no roll. There's only a bounce, and then spin dash, and then drop dash, and then lightspeed dash. Those are the big moves that you have, plus homing attack, but there's no reticle for it, so that's an interesting choice. But, you know, hey, win some, you lose some. There's also rails here, so, you know, a lot of stuff going on, but not really momentum-based. But it does have that move set. And it's kind of, I don't know, it's interesting. I like it. I also think the level design, 9 times out of 10 does a really good job of actually making the levels, really accommodate this moveset, this very specific moveset. I had an amazing time going through them. I really did. There's 2 tutorial levels, by the way. It was this, which I understand why people locked in on this game so hard. That aesthetic for that tutorial level is insanely peak. Because most people do the average thing where it's like, oh, it's Green Hill Zone. You're just playing through Green Hill Zone again. Whatever. There you go. Enjoy. Like this type beat. But doing the Sonic Mania opening, like, what were they thinking? They're insane. They were cooking so heavily. Also, this is a really pretty version of Green Hill, so I do not mind its inclusion. The nighttime with the stars floating in, oh my god. It does, honestly, okay. I had seen gameplay footage of this game before, and I had seen it, and I was like, oh, it might be a little weird to play, because I don't know, it looked like the game was very slippery. I genuinely thought it was going to be kind of a difficult thing to get through, but it feels really good. It feels significantly better than I thought it would feel, and then it also is designed really well. When, you know, like, if I looked at it in a vacuum, when I looked at it in gameplay videos, I was like, oh, there's some things here and there that kind of, like, I don't know. I'm not in love with that level design decision. But when I actually sat down and played it, it worked so well, I guess with just my specific gameplay style, that it ended up clicking a lot more than I thought it did. And there were only a few sections here and there where, like, maybe they didn't indicate well enough that you'd have to do some wall running things, or you would fly off the edge because the camera wasn't, like, the best in some scenarios. But, like, overall, the level design works really well 9 times out of 10. The game feels really good, and the game looks really good. So I was massively impressed by this game, in a way that I did not think I would be based on just what I was seeing from various, you know, YouTube videos that were out there, out and about. It is very hard to kind of tell where, I don't know, how a game is going to feel based on you know, gameplay footage that you're seeing online. Some people talk about that. I think there's definitely ways you can kind of notice oddities here and there. I don't think it's completely out of the, I don't know, out of the rule book. Yeah, you're not gonna you can figure out how games are gonna feel based on like gameplay footage that you find early in the game. It's very, very doable, very possible, and I've done it before. I've seen it before. People in the Sonic community do it all the fucking time, man. Like it is very much the case that that's possible. But I don't know, dude. Like something about this one, I got it all wrong. I read it all wrong. Also, this game brings up something I kind of want to talk about when it comes to Sonic fan games. There's this idea in the Sonic community that, oh my god, I can't believe the homing attack didn't work on that one. That makes me so sad. There's this idea in the Sonic community that it is better to not have any form of automation at all than to have no automation, right? Does that make sense? TLDR, games where there's less automation are better than games where there's more automation. And to an extent, that is true. We have games like Forces where automation completely and totally rules pretty much the entire level design of things, and it's just bad. It's not fun. Like, it doesn't work the way they would want it to. But then you also have games like this, where I don't think there's any form of automation in this game, period. I genuinely don't think so. And I do think in some scenarios you kind of suffer for it. So the specific reason I bring that up in this game is because there are a decent amount of loops, and they just don't work. Like, I'm sorry, 3D loops do not work in Sonic games. It's just, it doesn't happen. And I'm not saying I don't like loops in 3D Sonic games. That's not true at all. I do like them. I think they're, one, a very interesting way to kind of add interesting visual elements to a stage. I like that a lot. Two, we've already seen in things like Frontiers Update 3 and some cyberspace stages where loops are taken and just absolutely utilized in some of the most interesting ways possible. It is very doable to have cool and fun implementations of loops. But, and here's where the big but comes in. All of those loops have dash pads. All of those loops in the official, Sonic games have some form of automation. I cannot think of a single time where, why is it, hello? Oh, my controller stopped working for a second. All of these games have loops that are automated. There's a reason for that, right? When I'm running through this game, I do not feel like running through a loop gives me any form of control over my character. Usually when loops work well without, like, quote-unquote automation is in areas where you don't have to kind of you have to make sure Sonic's movement is kind of moving along with the loop, because it obviously in the movement of the loop, in the I'm so dumb for, why did I press that button like it was gonna make me start doing a drop dash? I'm confused, man. I'm confused. I keep forgetting the trigger is bounce and drop dash is the same as the spin dash button. But game? Okay, I was like, hello? There are a few examples where, like, obviously when you're going through a loop, the x-axis is going to slightly change. Like, you're gonna have to move to the left or the right depending on, where the loop is oriented. It's part of a loop in 3D, right? And that, oh my god, why did I do that? Sometimes that works, sometimes that doesn't. I think in cases where it does work, where there's less automation, is where there's still a slight bit of automation. So like in Sonic Speed Simulator, for example, when you run through a loop, you actually do get kind of put onto this path where it'll automatically make you go like through a specific X-plane, I guess is the best way of putting it. So like you'll automatically move to the left or the right to get through the loop, no matter what direction you're moving in, really, but your momentum is still like an important aspect of that. Does that make sense? Whereas in this, it's just completely based on player movement, and I don't think that works. I don't think that works super well. There's a reason that I'm just jumping through all the loops rather than actually trying to like lock in and go through them. I just don't. It doesn't feel good. I don't think it works well. It's not a great way of utilizing loops in 3D. Me don't thinks, right? And then you also, like, honestly just benefit more from straight jumping through them because you waste less time, and you can, especially when you have things like drop dash, spin dash, you can just regain your momentum in an instant. So there's not a whole lot of reason to go through the loops. And it's unfortunate because, you know, loops in 2D Sonic very much were an indication of how good you were at the game, and they were kind of like this, I don't know, this skill marker where you could either just get through the loop and that was it. Like, you just got through the loop. You ran through it, and you kind of didn't gain any speed, didn't really lose any speed either. Or you could roll through the loop, showing that you understood the momentum systems a little bit better, and that would gain you some speed. Or you could do some shit where you would, like, straight up jump during a loop, and you would gain a lot of speed, right? There's a reason that they exist. I know a lot of people are like, they're from a bygone era, I don't know why they have them anymore, whatever. There's like a whole loop conversation that happens in the Sonic community. But they did show off some degree of skill, and I think they were an amazing addition in 2D Sonic. And there's still a degree of that now, especially with this lack of automation, where you can either go through the loop, which, you know, doesn't really do all that much, or you can jump through it, and that's faster, and you can, you know, gain speed in different ways, and that shows, like, a degree of mastery. But I don't know, it's just not, it's not the best, it's not my favorite. So I don't know, that's something to work on, maybe a little more. Automation is fine in small spurts, guys. Automation can be fine. I'm gonna go into the open world just to show you kind of what the deal is with that. There is only one open world that I think is super worth exploring, not expedition mode, multiplayer mode. I actually never checked extras. Is there anything in here? Donations, credits, fan art. All right, never mind, I'm good. Let's go into this one. This one is the one that's actually pretty cool. But yeah, automation is fine in controlled groups. You know, it's okay to have some things be automated, I think, is the big takeaway that a lot of Sonic fans need to have. And I think loops are kind of an example of that. But there is a really cool example of loops working super well even when they are automated and being an interesting, like, platforming element. In Sonic Frontiers Update 3, there's this one stage where you can either go through the loop, just get through it and go to a lower path, or better yet, you can go on top of the loop and you can platform on top of it, or you can platform around it, or you can platform through it, like I've been doing this entire time, and it'll actually have an alternate pathway that is built in to work with that. So it's pretty neat. It's pretty neat. Also, I don't know why there's a multiplayer mode and why there's a single player mode, because you can technically play everything multiplayer. If you're playing the expedition mode, you probably saw there were people that were also playing it with me. So I don't I don't know why this is here. This is more just like a sandbox mess around with the elements of the game type beat. But yeah, it's just a skate park. It's pretty cool. Overall, this fan game really rocks, and it kind of blew me away with the level of quality it has. I'm very excited to see where it goes in the future. There are a lot of absolutely insane Sonic fan games on Roblox right now. It is probably one of the better things you can download if you want to check out a lot of these really cool, fun fan games. So, you know, do it. Check it out. Download it. I think Dreams, Roblox, and Game Jolt. Those are the two to keep an eye out for. But yeah, it's good. Play it. Please play it, guys.